Hello, Bethel Park. You're never going to believe what I'm up to today. We're rescuing bees. Look at that swarm up there. We're here at Sunny Rose Ranch, and we are with beekeeper extraordinaire Chris Vario, and he is going to be going over how to rescue bees and safely transport them back to the hive. Sunny Rose Ranch is located in Jefferson Borough, and it's got its name because Chris's mom's name was Rose, and the nickname for his dad was Sunny. And Sunny Rose Ranch was born back in 1978. Let's go explore some bees. We're here with Chris Vario. He is a beekeeper extraordinaire right here in the South Hills. Welcome, Chris.
Thanks.
Yes. Can you tell us a little bit about what it is that you do and what we have behind us?
Well, I am a beekeeper here in Jefferson Borough, and behind us is an apiary. The apiary is a collection of honeybee hives that you can see in the background here that keep honeybees.
How many honeybees would you say there are?
There's probably anywhere from 50 to 70,000 in each one of those hives.
And how many hives are there?
Right
lot.
now, we're getting up to about 35 or 40.
How did you get into the beekeeping business?
I was always interested in honeybees since I was a little kid, and then about 10 years ago, I was going through physical therapy, and the therapist had some local honey for sale at his counter, and I told him I was always interested in keeping bees. Where did you get this? And he told me that one of his other customers was a beekeeper. So he introduced me to him, and the guy became my mentor, and from there I joined a couple beekeeping groups and took some classes on apiaculture at Penn State Extension, and it's kind of just been growing from there.
So you actually harvest the honey?
I do.
You sell it?
I do.
Huh. And the honeycomb as well?
The honeycomb as well, yes.
Interesting. At like local farmer markets and things like that?
There's probably about 9 local stores and restaurants between the South Hills and
Really?
Pittsburgh that you can pick up the products on, and also the Sunny Rose Ranch website.
Huh. Very interesting. And you believe in preserving the bees?
Well, yes. The
integrity of the bee, the honeybee, and what it stands for.
Yeah, it's important for people to know that honeybees are important to our food system, and they are very important because they pollinate fruits, vegetables, flowers, and when people see swarms of honeybees. Right now we're in honeybee swarming season, so when you see a swarm of honeybees, it's very important to call a beekeeper so they can come and relocate them and take them back to either their apiary or another outyard somewhere where they'll be able to continue to pollinate.
Mm-hmm. And are the honeybees, are they at all endangered? I know a couple years ago on the news there was a shortage of honeybees, or there was endangerment of not enough honeybees to pollinate or something like that?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't use the term endangered, but there is a decline in the populations of the honeybees, yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, habitat loss, varroa mites that get into the hive that, if not treated properly, can kill the whole colony off, and then sometimes neonicotinoids and pesticides would be responsible.
Yeah. So the next time that you at home see a honeybee, don't tramp on it, don't kill it, save the honeybees. And if you do see a swarm of honeybees or a bunch of honeybees around your home, call someone like Chris, and he will help you relocate those bees. He'll either bring them here or to another beekeeper in the area.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you have a love for bees.
Yes, absolutely.
That stemmed from when you were young.
Yes.
And what are we looking at behind us here?
So
this is amazing.
That right there is a swarm of honeybees. And what just happened was one of my hives over there swarmed. And what that means is that the colony that was living right there outgrew its living space. So the queen and maybe half the bees, maybe a third of the bees, decided that they were going to swarm off somewhere for another space to live in so they can continue to grow the colony. And right there, they just happened to land. So what happens now is their scouts will continue to go and look for another space to inhabit, and they'll only be there temporarily. And usually what you see is this in somebody's yard or on their bush, and then they panic and they don't know what to do, so they call an exterminator.
Right.
But what I want people to know is when you see this, you should call a beekeeper, because this is how honeybees land. You will only see honeybees in that formation like that.
And you say it's just this time of year, what, late spring, early summer?
This is the time of year where it's the most prevalent to happen. It's
Interesting.
the queen is laying almost 1,000 to 2,000 eggs a day. So the bees are just multiplying, and they're running out of space in that hive, and that's a lot of times what causes them to swarm.
Now, if you did look at something like this swarm in your backyard, I can see how you'd be scared. I could see how it'd be like something out of a horror movie, like, oh no, the bees are after me, they're coming out. But in actuality, you say that they're very docile creatures,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
that in this particular state, they're harmless, correct?
They-
Talk to us about that.
They can sting you, but they're less likely to. Before they've left their original space, they've gorged themselves with honey. And bees actually have two stomachs, one for digestion and the other one is their honey stomach. So they've stored as much honey in their bodies as they can, so they can use it for energy and food along their journey until they get to their next
Right.
next space, their
Right.
next living space.
And they don't know how far that's going to be, so they want to make sure that they have enough.
That's right.
And what you're going to do today is you're actually going to go up and retrieve this swarm,
Yes.
and then you say, what happens to the engorged stomachs once you retrieve that swarm?
So they'll use that honey back at their new location. They'll regurgitate that back once they build up some comb, and then they start drawing out the frames with honeycomb, with wax. They'll regurgitate the nectar into the wax hex cells, and then that will eventually become honey.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they're docile creatures, you say? They're
Yes.
basically harmless. You say that they come and go, and they have a job to do.
That's right.
Tell us about that.
They are right now out foraging on nectar and pollen, and they're bringing it back to the hive, and they're preparing themselves for the cold weather months that lie ahead.
And there's plenty of flowers out right now for them to get their nectar from.
That's
So
right.
that's good, that's positive. All you people at home that are growing your gardens and your flower gardens, more power to you. You're feeding the honeybees. And
right.
I see that there's actually two swarms up here in the tree. One's up a little bit higher. But how many bees would you say are in that particular swarm?
In that swarm, there's likely 5,000 to 8,000 honeybees.
That's crazy. That's crazy. And since the time that we've been standing here talking, it has been getting longer and longer and bigger and bigger. So it started off, it was like a swarm of bees in the air. So you could just see them like going around like a bee tornado. And then one by one, they would perch on the leaves, they would perch on the tree until they formed like a cone or a sack kind of thing coming down from the tree. And it looks absolutely amazing. And he says that they won't hurt you because they're busy doing their thing. They have their tummies filled and they're good to go.
And it's important to let people know that they can still sting you, that they're less likely to,
Right.
because their stomachs are filled with honey. It's hard for them to bend, but they still can sting you. So you would want to proceed always with caution, but call a beekeeper to come and safely remove them.
How many beekeepers would you say there are in, we'll say, South Hills, Allegheny County, Pittsburgh?
It's a growing network. There's a
Really?
network of us. So
network of
if
beekeepers.
I can't get to a swarm of bees, I know somebody who can. Or there's a Google group that is firing emails every other minute of the day about beekeeping questions. It's actually the Berg's Bees Google group, and one of us on there that's monitoring it will be able to, somebody will be able to come and relocate a swarm safely.
When I first spoke with Chris about his beekeeping hobby, lifestyle choice, whatever it is. I thought that this would be a great segment for Healthy, Fit, and Strong, Bethel Park TV, just because honey is good for you and bees are docile creatures, but I've come to learn so much more. I've come to learn that bees won't bother you if you don't bother them. And I think what Chris wants to get more importantly across is if you see a swarm, they can be relocated. They can be transported to a safe place where they can then continue to do their honey functioning. The worst thing you could do is to exterminate a bee or get people in to kill the bees. We just want to relocate them to get them to a new home, right?
That's right.
That's a big message that you want to send across.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Bees are our friends. So, Chris, you say that you had 10 calls regarding bee swarms in
Yes.
just the local area. Tell me what a local day, a day in the life of Chris would be.
So during the swarm season, which is right now, usually between the months of late April through end of June, is honeybee swarming season. So the bees are in swarm mode, just like you see in the background here. And I will get likely 4 to 10 calls a day with people calling about honeybee swarms in their yard or on a bush or in a tree, just like this one, and they're not sure what they should do, and they call me, and if I can't do it, I will call somebody, or I will put the call out over the Google group, and then somebody will be able to get to those swarms of honeybees. So this is what happens in the day. So then I bring those swarms back here, or to
In a box? You bring them, transport them in a box?
yeah, I transport them in. I have a styrofoam box that it's very lightweight. So when I get up into a tree or a weird situation, it's a very lightweight box. I can get it and kind of get the bees into the box, which I'll show you here shortly when we take that one out, how it's actually relocated and then transported to wherever it is that I'm taking them.
So like a cooler box.
It's like a
Small
cooler
coolers.
box. Yeah.
How heavy would you say that's going to be
That's
once you bring it down?
probably going to be maybe 7 to 10 pounds.
7 to 10 pounds of bees right there.
Yeah.
And tell me about the process of harvesting the honey.
The process of harvesting honey, I harvest honey 2 times every year, a big harvest in the spring and then another big harvest in the fall. The honeybees will take in nectar from flowers. There's different flowers blooming at different times of the year. So there's primary nectar sources that are available to the honeybees depending on if we're in the spring or if we're in the fall season. So the spring season right now, black locust trees are going to be coming into bloom, and there's white flowers on the black locust trees, which the honeybees are drawn to and are likely to make a nice black locust crop from that should the weather be right. Otherwise, everything else you'll see is wildflowers that are everywhere through western Pennsylvania. And then in the fall time, one of the primary nectar sources for honeybees is Japanese knotweed, which makes a very dark honey. And it is all along the creek beds and the river banks, and that's the primary nectar source for honeybees in the fall. So then you would go up, and those boxes over there, you can see there's different sizes of them. There's deeper,
I do see.
Yeah, there's deeper boxes, and then there's shallower boxes. The shallower boxes are called honey supers, and that is where the honeybees will store their excess or surplus honey.
What?
And that is the honey that I will harvest. The majority of the honey is actually in the bottom 2 boxes, which is where the weight of the honey is. But I only take the surplus. The rest is for stays in there for the bees.
Wow.
So there's 10 frames in each one of those boxes, and then I take them out of there. I have to remove the bees from them. There's a process of removing the bees with there's different methods. I use a fume board, and then so the frames of honey no longer have bees on them. And then I take those frames, I take them down to my extraction area where I cut the wax cappings off of the frames, and then I put it into a radial extractor, which holds 18 of those frames, and then that through centrifugal force spins the honey out of the combs and into a stainless steel drum, and then it gets filtered one time just to get all of large particles of wax or bee parts that are left out, and then I place it into food grade buckets, and then it is bottled and shipped off to wherever it's going.
All right, Chris, let's go capture this swarm, put it back in the hive, and rescue some bees.
Okay, I'm ready. So we're going to light the smoker just so we have some smoke. Why don't you keep puffing that?
Yes.
Let's walk on over. So this is a couple components of a hive setup. This is the base. And then I'm going to go grab one of these, which is a deep super or brood chamber.
Sorry.
You can set that if you don't want to keep puffing. You can just set it on the top of any one of those hives for now. And then this is a telescoping cover, which will keep them out of the weather.
It's a white wax honeycomb on the ground. Did they build it?
So what we're going to do first is try to relocate some resources from other hives. What I mean by resources is frames that have the drawn comb similar to this on them. This right here is just plastic cell foundation, which gives the bees a little bit of a head start. So they'll build their comb off of this plastic, but they actually need to draw all the frames out with wax in order to store honey, nectar, and pollen.
Okay.
So, and for the queen to lay eggs in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of my other hives here, and I'm going to grab some of those resources and put them in there, which encourages that swarm to stay here and not continue to go look around. So you can show you. This top box I told you was the honey super, which is where the bees are storing excess honey, which you can see right now. That's all nectar in there. It's not capped yet. Once they cap it with beeswax, then it's ripe and considered ready to harvest. But right now it's just nectar, so they'll have to continue to fan it with their wings. They're still storing more of it, and then they'll eventually cap that over with a nice white sheet of wax, and then that will be harvested. It's still early in the spring though, so we're not ready to harvest yet. But we may see some that is already capped. What I'm going to do is go into these bottom boxes and pull resources from this hive to give to that swarm. once we get it. Now this is a frame of capped brood. This right here, all of these dark little hexes, a bee will eventually emerge out of. Okay, so right here, that is going to
what
be
is
a,
that?
that's a queen cell. So what likely happened here is that this hive swarmed, and yeah, these are all queen cells. A queen is going to be born out of these cells right here.
Do the bees know it?
Yes. Yeah. So the hive, that the existing queen that was in this hive swarmed up into that tree over there. So these bees will raise a new queen.
Well, how do they decide if there's 3?
Well, there's likely more. There's probably 12 or 15 of them. And what will happen is each queen will come out of these queen cells, and they will find each other and kill each other, and there will be only one left. So the dominant one will be the one that is the queen for this entire colony.
Have you ever witnessed that?
No, but I have seen them emerge from the cells. Okay, so on this side, you can see some of the white in the cells. That's the larva. Can you see the white?
Yes.
Yeah, in there. That's larva. So that will eventually be capped
And those are yellow.
into brood. Well, the yellow is the pollen. Those are
I see.
pollen. If you look really close, I'm going to let you hold this. In these cells, you'll see like a little, like a worm, like a curled worm, like a larva. Oh, that's a bee emerging from the cell. Yeah.
Can we get that?
It's happening right here. So you got to see that firsthand. Every one of
Wow.
these will emerge new
This
honeybee.
new one, see, it's like whiter than the other ones. Brand new. Doesn't know what he's doing.
They're all females. The only ones, there's male bees in here that are called drones, which are a little bit bigger, but they're few and far between. I'll show
All
you.
honeybees are females?
With the exception of the drones. All of these here are female bees. Right here is a drone. You can tell the difference. Right? Where'd he go?
Yes.
This is a drone.
Yes.
That's a male bee, and they do
Can
not.
you see how much bigger, Dave?
They don't sting. They don't have stingers. The female bees and the queen are the ones with the
Right there,
stingers.
Dave.
But this is a drone.
And what does he do? Just work?
The drone mates with the queen. That's really their only, purpose, is to go out and mate with the queen so she can come back and lay eggs. And I'm going to take this into the other hive. These are what I typically take with me to relocate. These are styrofoam boxes. They call them nuke boxes. And they're light, and I'm able to kind of hold them in place if I need to. I'm just gonna have this here in case I need it. But I'm gonna bring the ladder over, do some pruning, and then eventually get the
Great.
swarm. Oh, right there is good. That's what I needed. Perfect. You can let that go. put this one in the swarm box for right now. I'm just going to lay it gently there and then cover it. And then I'm going to get the rest of them hopefully on this jack. So the best thing we're going to do now is walk this up to the hive. But that's the swarm of honeybees.
Can I feel the weight?
Yeah. You got it?
Yes. Wow.
Why don't you walk up
Yeah,
here?
sure.
You must feel every day like a hero. Even bees live.
All right, why don't you want to stand on my side?
Yes.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shake all of these bees into this box.
Oh my gosh. And they're happy there. They're good.
They'll settle because there's drawn comb in there.
Right, but I mean, they seem to like it there.
They will. They'll just eventually settle completely in there. So when somebody calls me for a bee removal, this is what I try to do. I bring them here and put them in a hive and let them grow from what was probably 5,000 to 8,000 to hopefully by the end of winter maybe 20,000.
That's amazing, Chris. I can't touch them, right?
You can.
Can I scoop them? Yes?
You can. It's probably easier for them to get in, but yeah, you can absolutely swoop.
What you gonna do when you have a swarm? You call the bee team. Bethel Park, thank you so much for joining me here at Sunny Rose Ranch, where it was very important to leave you with the message to please be careful and be courteous to those honeybees around you, because we really need them for the ecosystem around us. Thank you, and I'll see you next time. Happy summer!